Welcome to the Prime Property Finance Podcast with Gareth Morgan and Mark Watts. This unique podcast will dive deep into all areas of property investing finance, going behind the scenes with property professionals, investors and clients. Between us, we have 35 plus years experience in property finance. The podcast has been launched to share knowledge, mindset requirements and experiences of successful investors and professionals. We aim to simplify many of the complicated areas of finance and investing and provide valuable and easy to implement tips. Keep an eye out for our new longer episodes every Tuesday and our shorter ones every Friday.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Prime Property Finance Podcast. My name is Mark, and in today's episode we'll be going through commercial valuations, a topic that we discuss very frequently with clients. So you may have experienced this. You may well be stuck relying on bricks and mortar valuations, and you'll know how limiting this can be. You can pour a lot of money into your conversion with a view of trying to gain profits, boost the income. However, the valuer then will still compare this against other properties on a comparable basis, and that can be deflating, sometimes not achieving what you need it to be. So now imagine refinancing based on what the property earns. This can often lead to higher valuations, ultimately meaning that you can recycle more of your cash and move on to your next project, thus accelerating and providing more momentum. So in this episode, we're going to dive into commercial valuations, what they are, how they work, when you can use them, and how to set yourself up to get one. If you're doing HMOs, conversions, small blocks, then this one's essential. So what is a commercial valuation then? It's a valuation based on the rental income the property generates, not just comparables. The valuer applies something called a yield, and we'll come on to that in a second, to the income to arrive at a market value. So why is it useful? Because if you added value through planning, layout or rental uplift, you can get a valuation that reflects your asset's income performance, not just what someone else paid for something vaguely familiar on the same street. And when do we use it? Mainly when the property is considered a commercial investment like HMOs, some mixed use cases, small blocks of flats, or possibly even serviced accommodation in certain circumstances. And who's it for? Well, anyone looking to refinance, recycle cash or build momentum. Especially useful for developers or investors doing conversion projects and want to pull capital out post-refurb. So let's take a deeper look at this then and understand what a commercial valuation is. It's based on the net income of a property and then a yield is applied by the valuer. Now, the yield itself is based on market forces and what other properties are yielding in the area. And this is a metric that's used to reflect on the income the property will generate versus its value. So if you were to generate $50,000 in annual rent and the market yield is 7%, your property could be worth $714,000 in this example, even if the bricks and mortar or the comparable value is only $550. So you can quickly see how this can become quite a valuable tool, especially if you're looking to leverage and move on to the next project. So when can you use it? A commercial valuation is only accepted in very specific circumstances, usually when the property has income that is intrinsic to the property's use. So for example, most commonly we see this in HMOs. Now these HMOs will invariably have been converted to a standard that they are no longer houses. They may be in Article 4 areas. The rooms may be fully en-suited and therefore are unlikely or can't be converted back to a home without a significant cost. Other areas where you may see commercial valuations come into play will be in commercial property, where you've got strong tenants, your Domino's of the world, McDonald's, Microsoft, blue chip, well-established tenants that have value and will usually have a longer lease term in place, so you can rely on that income as part of the property use. And we can look at it also in hotels. Serviced accommodation can sometimes apply where it is appropriate. However, it's a bit more challenging in that space. So these are certainly areas. We've also used it in blocks of flats as well, where it's held on one title. And the use of the property means that we can leverage the commercial value rather than the vacant possession. So something that's really important to remember, if you are looking to do a conversion project and you're refinancing based on the commercial value. So let's take a HMO, for example. You're going to purchase a property that's a 4-bed, you're going to extend it, you're going to add en-suites, etc., that's going to qualify for a commercial valuation with a lender, your bridging or refurbishment finance will not take into consideration the commercial valuation. Bridging and refurbs are done on the property's vacant possession value. Okay, so it'll be the purchase price plus the refurb costs, and then the GDV or the end value you'll be considering will be the vacant possession or the comparables value. Okay, the commercial valuation only comes into play when you look then to refinance that. So what does that mean? You can still get your money out, absolutely. However, you will need more capital if you're using that. So we do often speak to people who assume that the GDV that you can lend against on the development side will be the commercial valuation, and that is not the case, which often leads to deals then subsequently not stacking up, or not so much not stacking up, but an absence of having enough money to make that project work. Okay, so that's something really important for you to remember. Now, there are pros and cons to commercial valuations, so we'll start with the pros. Obviously, higher valuations, as we've touched upon, or we've spoken about, equals more cash out. You get rewarded for a good income strategy, so doing that work and the conversion will increase your margins and therefore enable you and create momentum, and then better leverage for faster growth. So that's key to this whole thing, really, I guess. There are some cons to it. There is an argument that says commercial valuations can enable you to over-leverage a property. Okay, and it's something we've spoken about we will be speaking about in other episodes. So check out future episodes and we do a deeper dive into what that actually means. But in a nutshell, it means that you may leverage against that 714,000 value currently, and the lender has an appetite to lend against commercial valuation. If the market should change and commercial valuation is no longer a thing, then you're now stuck with a loan against that higher value, and everybody else now wants to lend against comparables, which would be the lower at the 550. So you can end up, unlikely, but you could potentially end up in a position where you're over leveraged. So just something comes with a health warning. The commercial value may not be as much as you think it's going to be. So what I mean by that is the comparable value versus the commercial value may not be that different in many instances. Often people think it's going to be this silver bullet that allows them to get loads of cash out of the property. Very often we just see that they're not that different. Now, you may have gone to a lender chasing a commercial valuation, and as such, you'll pay the interest rate for that. So you may be stuck then in a product that's got a higher interest rate, but however, the values are not that different. So you're actually technically costing yourself a little bit more money on that front. So again, something just to be aware of, as everything has a pro and everything has a con as well. So I guess the advice around that is to model your deal conservatively. Don't assume a top-end commercial value unless it's backed by real market evidence. Okay, we do have a HMO calculator on our website. We have a set of calculators actually for property investors. By all means, find it on www.primeproperty.finance. You'll see the button there that says calculators, set up your free account. And there's a raft of different calculators that you can use. And in there is the HMO calculator, which also has a commercial valuation estimate. Okay, and that does some sensitivities for you as well. So you can see what happens if this doesn't happen, if I don't get that value, and so on and so forth. So I'd thoroughly recommend checking those out. And yeah, that's pretty much it on commercial valuations. If this has helped clarify how and when commercial valuations come into play, then please do follow the show. We've got loads more coming out on this. And if you're planning a conversation or looking to refinance, I want to explore more about the commercial valuation, then please do get in touch with us. Our contact details are in the show notes. So for now, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We hope you have learned something and have some tips to take away. We'd be very grateful if you enjoyed the show. You could give us a review and share with anyone that you know that may be interested, and of course subscribe to the show so you can get notified when a new episode is released. If you'd like us to answer any questions or go deeper on a specific topic, please drop us a message at primeproperty.finance. See you on the next episode.